Okay, we're going to take a look at finding an equation of a line using a point and something about the gradient that we know. So in this particular one, they want us to find the equation of a line going through the point 4, 1 and perpendicular to negative y is equal to negative 3x plus 7. So the very first thing that we know is we know that the gradient is, for this particular equation, is negative 3, right? So the gradient is negative 3. Negative 3. So that means, so that's the gradient of equation 1. The one that we're trying to create, the gradient of that one, is going to be the flip, the opposite flip of that. So it's going to be positive 1/3. So that's how much that we know. So of the new equation, I know this much of the new equation, 1/3 x plus b. But I don't know this. So in order to find b, I need a little bit of algebra. I use this point, and that's x and y. So I substitute that point in, and I get y is 1, and x is 4. And then I get 1 is equal to 4/3 plus b. And then I just go b is equal to minus the 4/3, 1 minus 4/3, which is negative 1/3. So now I have the equation. The y is equal to 1/3 x, because that's the flip, the opposite flip of that. And I've got my b minus 1/3. Now, I can test that if I want to. I can go into Desmos, or I can go into my graphing calculator, and I can graph this equation, and I can graph this equation, and I'll see that they are, in fact, perpendicular bisectors of each other. If you don't believe me, we can do that. So negative 3 plus 7, go to 7, and go down 1, 2, 3, and over 1. And I'll just roughly draw, that's probably not going to be the best line in the world, but there it is. And then if I drew the other equation, which is 1/3 x minus the third. Now that's going to be a little bit hard to graph, right? You might need a table of values to graph that, negative 1/3. That's going to be pretty difficult to sort of estimate. Negative 1/3 is going to be a difficult y-intercept to get. And so it's going to be obviously down, go away, somewhere in here, negative 1/3, and then you've got to go up, and then you're going to get a line that goes down 1, oh, stop it, down 1, and over 3, so it's going to be somewhat like this, 2, 3. Point somewhere in there, and then I go down 1, and I'm going to get a graph that goes sort of like this. It's going to kind of do that, perpendicular to that line. It's not going to be great because it's very hard to draw that, but I can certainly do it on my graphing calculator if I need to. So when you have perpendicular lines, we know that there have to be flips. If you're going to do parallel lines, then we know that the gradient has to be the same. So for this one, the example was the gradient is negative 2. That's what we know when we rearrange this equation, and we have to rearrange it first. So the gradient is negative 2. So the gradient of the new equation also has to be negative 2. And so this is how much of the equation that we know. We know almost all of it, except we don't know b. So then we use this point and throw that into the equation for x and for y to find the new equation, which is basically negative 2x plus 3. And then that's parallel.